FEMA is an agency that's meant to take care of Americans in distress. And a bunch of their money was being sent to pay for luxury hotels in New York for illegal immigrants. So we actually made sure that that money did stop going, because it's outrageous that American taxpayer money is spent on luxury hotels for illegals. But you have to say, like, why was that being done? It was because the Democrats are trying to import voters, basically. And that's also why there's no voter ID in California and New York State. You're not allowed to show voter ID. Doesn't that seem insane?
Insane.
The men and women on this committee are good people. They're honest and caring people. And that's why I do not understand why you would relegate this committee to no longer being of significance and resort to saying you will do whatever Elon Musk and Donald Trump tell you to do. Where's the independence of the committee? Where's the legislature? We're an equal branch of government. And yet, when we look at the empty seats here, where's Elon Musk? I'm sure he's a genius and is a very credible person because of the wealth he's accumulated. But that does not put him above the law or the responsibility to come before this committee in this Congress. If he's so great, if these plans and all the fraud and abuse that he found are so evident, why isn't he here explaining it? You know why. Because he's out to privatize Social Security. He's been on television the last couple of days talking exactly about Social Security, Medicare, and Medicaid, and what he intends to do. Privatize it.
The American people may have voted for change, but they did not vote for chaos. They did not vote to end Medicaid. They did not vote to end or greatly reduce Social Security.
And we're going to make it really much stronger by taking people that don't exist or taking people that shouldn't be there out, by taking illegal aliens that are on Social Security or Medicaid and Medicare. It's one thing to cut, but we want to cut the wrong people, meaning we want to cut people that aren't doing the job. We want to keep the right people. Absolutely. And I said, I don't want to just say we're going to cut 50%. I want to cut the people that aren't doing the job, the people that aren't there, the people that are scamming the system. And he agrees with that 100%.
We have touched a nerve, Mr. Chairman, and we have entered the inner sanctum of the Democrats' temple. And I think that holy grail is the government and their unionized government employees. And if you get anywhere near it, this is the reaction you're going to get. My friend said they didn't vote for this deep cleaning in the bureaucracy. They didn't vote for the kind of rooting out of waste and fraud, but they say that with a false narrative and with fear-mongering for Medicaid beneficiaries. And they're trying to scare our seniors and scare the most vulnerable. That's a long-standing tactic. But the American people didn't vote for transgender operas in Colombia. But where's the indignation on that? I haven't heard a single person talk about that. What about the transgender comic books and the DEI musicals in Ireland and all this absurd and insulting example after example of just complete and utter wasting the taxpayer dollar?
One of the biggest sources of fraud in the world is government-funded non-governmental organizations. This is a gigantic fraud loophole where the government can give money to an NGO and then there are no controls over that NGO. So they've given billions of dollars, in fact, we estimate tens of billions of dollars to NGOs that are essentially scams.
The GAO, the Government Accountability Office, that's a government entity, so you ought to bow down to that authority as well and accept their data and statement on fraud, which is up to $5 trillion over the 10-year window. $5 trillion. Where is the outrage on all of that? I've never heard it, not one time. I hear about the unelected billionaires because you all love class warfare. You love to divide people by race and gender and class. That is the MO. That's why the taxpayers put this president in office and gave us unified Republican leadership, because they want us to make sure that their tax dollars are protected and that they're being spent wisely and that we act as fiduciaries and that the people who were intended to get benefits from these programs are getting them, but not illegal immigrants and not people that are not qualified.
Most of the federal spending is entitlements. That's the sort of $500 billion, maybe $600-700 billion a year. That is also a mechanism by which the Democrats attract and retain illegal immigrants by essentially paying them to come here and then turning them into voters. So this is why the Democrats are so upset about the situation, because if we turn off this gigantic money magnet for illegal immigrants, then they will leave and they'll lose voters.
And Mr. Larson in particular knows that Social Security will be bankrupt in 9 years or 10 years. So you ought to be extremely happy if we're finding waste in the system. Because every dollar of waste in Social Security, in Medicare, in every other program, every dollar of waste and fraud is a dollar that is available to the people, to the recipients who deserve that service. I think the American people are going to see the kind of waste and fraud. They support this. Why do you think today the majority of the American people support what Elon Musk is doing? Why do you think today the majority of the American people support what the president is doing? And one other thing, you keep talking about him, he should be right here. You can follow what he's doing. He's doing interviews. He's got DOGE.gov. He's uncovering what he's doing. This is not someone who's doing this in the dark.
When people criticize, say, what DOGE is doing, we say, well, which part specifically? Because we put all of the actions of the DOGE team on the DOGE.gov website and on the DOGE handle on X. And we say, like, which line do you disagree with? Which cost saving do you disagree with? And then people usually can't think of any.
No, it's transparent line by line.
It's transparent line by line.
All these non sequiturs, trans people, and what money is spent on condoms, and that has nothing to do whether that's true or not. If someone is getting a Social Security check and they're 300 years old, that's a terrible thing. But it doesn't have anything to do with an ineligible person accessing our data. And so I just want to make sure that we stay on the subject. We're not talking about trans people today, undocumented immigrants.
Democrats have expressed outrage over the access to taxpayer information that DOGE employees have. First off, a few weeks ago, the Treasury Department in the White House signed a memorandum of understanding that prohibits DOGE from accessing personal taxpayer data. They know this. Second, the Treasury Inspector General for Tax Administration has released data on just how many individuals have already had access to sensitive information within the IRS. As of July 2023, over 91,000 business entitlement access request system users, including 5,000 contractors, had access to at least one sensitive IRS system. Where's the outrage? Why are we just now hearing about this? All these unelected bureaucrats that have access to sensitive information, and yet, because Elon Musk has unmasked all of this waste, fraud, and abuse, now you're bringing it up. So if Democrats were serious about protecting taxpayer information, they would have raised concerns about this report and articles that ProPublica and the New York Times published using illegally obtained taxpayer information to publish stories attacking President Trump and other Americans who had their data stolen.
One of the first public statements of President Trump's new acting commissioner was to confirm that DOGE personnel cannot make changes to agency systems, to commit to abide by court rulings related to DOGE's access, and to refer DOGE personnel for prosecution if they violate the law. The same laws that protect the American people's data from misuse by the SSA's tens of thousands of other employees. While Democrats may want to use scaremongering to score political points, the facts are not on their side. President Trump did not touch Social Security benefits during his first term. He campaigned on protecting and preserving his Social Security benefits in his first reelect and his second reelect. In all those campaigns, he has been consistent. And for any member of this body to say otherwise is just saying unfactual representation of President Trump.
Should Americans expect changes, big changes, to Social Security and Medicare?
President Trump has been unequivocally clear on this. He is going to protect Social Security and Medicare benefits and Medicaid for hardworking Americans who paid into these entitlement programs and deserve those hard-earned benefits. And unfortunately, the mainstream media has taken Mr. Musk out of context. What he was specifically referring to cutting was the waste and the fraud and abuse that does exist in these programs. According to an IG report from the Social Security Administration, there's more than $70 $70 billion of fraud in the Social Security program alone that we know of. And so the president will continue to protect these programs for hardworking Americans, and actually cutting the waste, fraud, and abuse out of these programs will protect it for hardworking Americans.
Our government is addicted to spending. Both parties have overspent. If we don't make changes in 9 years, 2034, changes will come automatically, and these benefits will be adjusted downward. We bring in an auditor who points out all of this crazy spending, and because some people can't defend the crazy spending found, their playbook is the only card to play is to blame the auditor. It's almost as if we owned a store that was robbed. Elon Musk watches the video and says, here's who stole from you. And then we say, oh my gosh, I can't believe he looked at the videotape. He had no authority to look at the videotape of who robbed me. You have vilified Elon Musk, who's working for free. He is a government employee, but he's working for free. I've got 2 articles of massive attacks nationwide on Elon Musk's Tesla program and dealerships.
Is Elon Musk rubbing off on you? Is electric then the way to go? This isn't for electric or gas, because people have their choices. Yeah. I'm just saying that I know people that have these cars. They have 3, 4, they love them. And some people like the gas, and they should have their options. Right. I'm all about options. But I'm telling you, I ended the electric mandate, and I was waiting for a call. I said, did Elon call yet? They said, no, sir. The next day, what about Elon? Did he call? He never even mentioned it to me, never complained. Who would do that? Yeah. He has never asked me for a thing. And he's built this great company, and he shouldn't be penalized because he's a patriot. He's an incredible patriot.
Yeah, I mean, really, I just don't want America to go bankrupt.
So it's a call to action.
Yeah.
You giving up your other stuff? How are you running your other businesses?
With great difficulty. Yeah, I mean...
But there's no turning back, you're saying?
I'm just here trying to make government more efficient, eliminate waste and fraud, and so far we're making good progress, actually. Our savings at this point exceed $4 billion a day. Mm-hmm. So it's very significant.